And it's time now for weather with Nebraska Extension Ag Climatologist and Market Journal Chief Meteorologist Al Dutcher. And Al, last week it was warm and sunny. This week we're seeing some clouds, we're seeing some rain. What's ahead for us as May winds down?
Well, Troy, you're absolutely correct. We went from very warm conditions the previous week to very cool conditions this week. Widespread precipitation across the state. The only really dry day, if you want to call it dry, across the state was Wednesday. Seen some pretty significant snowfall accumulations during the early part of the week across the Panhandle. The heaviest of it, of course, across the northern one-third of the Panhandle, where we had anywhere from 6 to 12 inches reported. Further east, heavy precipitation across much of the western two-thirds of the state, anywhere from 1 to upwards of 4 inches reported. And farther east, much lesser totals like south for southeast Nebraska. And during this time period, we actually had at least 14 confirmed tornadoes. So it's been a very active week. Looks like it's going to continue through this weekend. So we look at the upper air model. Here we have this big upper air low that's going to swing down the western coast and then eventually bottom out in the southwest before ejecting energy out into our region. So we have a southwest flow aloft. We're starting to see surface development of the low pressure system in the Texas Panhandle. That's going to start to feed moisture toward the north, and that will intersect the high pressure system to our north. So we're going to get a line of thunderstorms developing from Texas all the way into Illinois, catching southeastern Nebraska. Tomorrow that low pressure comes a little bit closer. We start to see a wide string of low pressures forming along the front range of the Rocky Mountains. That gives us a deep fetch of moisture, and we see thunderstorms starting to break out in southern portions of Kansas. That will lift northward during the day. Particularly south central and southeast Nebraska are the best bets for heavy precipitation. And by Monday, this trough starts to eject out, and we see the low pressure out ahead of this trough, which will bring very significant moisture to much of the central United States. And be aware in eastern Nebraska, there's a very strong possibility of some flooded like rains with the heavy precipitation. And then by Tuesday, this trough starts to lift toward our east, should start to bring into the precipitation as a trailing low starts to move across south central Iowa from south central portions of Kansas, keeping the thunderstorm activity just to our southeast, maybe clipping southeast Nebraska. Then on Wednesday, we finally start to see a drying pattern temporarily as high pressure stays in control of the central plains. We do see low pressure to our south, but most of the activity with this associated low pressure system will drive this moisture well to our east and intersect the frontal boundary that just passed us. By Thursday, we start to see the semblance of a little troughing action in the mid layers of the atmosphere starting to push low pressure toward our region. At the surface, we'll see low pressure developing the Texas Panhandle. So we have this fetch of moisture coming north, high pressure to our south. Slight convergence zone here across south central southeast Nebraska, but the real thunderstorm activity will remain to our south. And by Friday, we start to see this trough deepening, and that will once again start to eject low pressure systems out into the southern plains. So we see low pressure developing in the Texas Panhandle. That moisture will start streaming northward, and we will start to see this progressively move northward as the day moves on. So another round of severe weather is very possible. 8 to 14-day forecast keeps the cold conditions in place with that trough and the active pattern in the west. And in terms of precipitation with that trough, we eject out a lot of moisture into our region. So Troy, it looks like this active pattern is going to continue at least for the next 7 to 10 days. Potentially, there is some breaks showing in the models as we get into the second week of June, but that's a long way out from now.